Hello and welcome back to Laz Unleashed with myself, Laz Michaelides, my little buddy Gimli down there who always joins me. Today is going to be my first video on football, and I'm a big Tottenham Hotspur fan and have been for, oh God, I think I started supporting Spurs when I was about 3, so about 26 years I've been Spurs fan. And I fancy doing these match reactions, maybe a live watch along now and then. But it kind of felt like today was necessary, and it's really sad that my first Spurs video is going to be after we take a 4-0 hammering from Newcastle on Saturday. But excuse me, it feels appropriate, and it feels like it's something that needs to be done, certainly from my point of view. So where do we start? A really, really tough one to take because we just have this habit of going to Newcastle and just letting goals go past us. We just can't seem to figure it out there. But it's more disappointing that this has been season after season. It's like almost like a bit of a bogey team or a bogey place for us to go to St James's Park. But superstitions aside, we need to look at the reality of it. And the reality is that we were so bad. We didn't look like we had a clue. And when the strikers and our forward players are not performing, and at the back, we're left with no options. Sometimes if your strikers are having a good day and your backs are not, then you can kind of get away. And we've done this before with Ange's with this Ange-ball. We've done this. We've relied on our strikers scoring more than their strikers, but with letting us in. And it's just too risky of a strategy. But this is what comes with Ange-ball. So the first thing I want to talk about is the defence, and I think it's a very, very tough game for Mickey van der Ven. He's been outstanding all season, on probably one of our best players of the whole season. And you kind of always felt that there was going to be a day like today where he just kind of made a few mistakes, a few errors. Now, I don't really put him at fault for what should I think of him? For maybe any of the goals. It was always the result of someone else's mistake that we were left into that position. But as our last line of defence, except the goalie, Mickey van der Ven, this is what we rely on him for with the speed he's got. Was it I think Isak's second? Yeah, where he was in his own half. And I don't know. I thought Romero was chasing him back because I thought, why is he so slow? That's Van der Ven. He's meant to be down the pitch matching Isak's speed. And getting back and doing that. That's what he's done all season. And the first two goals, yes, slips, yes, needs to start slowing down quicker, as all the pundits have been saying. But I just don't really, I don't know. It's a very bad game for him, but I don't place all the blame at his feet. He needs to dust himself off, just sort of put Saturday behind him, and get on with it because he has been our most important player this season. We saw when he was injured, things didn't really go that well, and when he came back, things looked a lot more solid again. We were like, thank God. But yeah, with the rest of the defence, I think who was it? One of the pundits on Match of the Day sort of was commenting that Romero and Van der Ven just did not look with it today. They did not look like a centre back pairing. They looked like they were playing their own games, and we saw it because Romero was dropping off the ball and not really knowing what he should have done. Do I go or do I, should I go to the ball or should I sort of stay back and hold my position? And I think a large amount of this is probably down to the midfield because we know that Udogie and Porro like to go forward and occupy those sort of midfield positions, almost like those inverted fullbacks as they're called nowadays. But I'm just not, with regards to the midfield, I'm not getting any confidence from Bissouma anymore. We saw him at the start of the season, and all of us were just kind of like, my goodness, like this guy, what a player of the season for the first few games. Didn't I think he got man of the match for the first 2 or 3 games, and he looked unplayable just in that midfield role, a perfect like Moussa Dembele, Claude Makelele, just holding up the ball, not letting anyone get through, cutting the passing lanes, and doing his job. But since he got that red card, which was against I can't actually remember, but he got a red card a few months ago, and since his return after that suspension, he has just not looked like the same player. He's not getting to the ball quick enough. Um, he's not holding that midfield anymore. He's just lost something, and I'm not sure what it is. And I feel like Pape Sarr is a great player, but he plays off the strength that Bissouma has. And when Bissouma's having a good game, Sarr's having a good game, and they work really well in conjunction with each other. But when Bissouma's not having a good game, it almost stifles Sarr and Maddison as well, because if you can't get a hold in midfield when you've got the ball, then the minute you get the ball going forward, your options are going to be limited because you're already under pressure. So I thought that was pretty disappointing. And the midfield in general, Bentancur, I thought he was the best of a bad bunch. Maddison, it's just not really working at the moment. I think this ultimately leads back to my next point, which is going to be, have teams got Ange-ball sussed? And I think, unfortunately, the answer is yes. Do I think this is a problem? I wouldn't say it's a massive problem, because all of these teams have certain ways of playing. Liverpool are just hell-bent. They always sort of just throw players forward, overload the defences in the midfields, get people in the box and normally score. City have their possession way, where they're just passing it, finding the ball in behind, players run in off the wing. We know this happens, but they become unplayable because of the players in their squad. World-class players, nearly from top to bottom of both those teams. You can include Arsenal as well. And as this is my first video, I have to say I'm not one of those fans. I don't care about Arsenal. Yes, there are rivals. Do I want them to do well? No. But I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh, I can't compliment this team because they're Arsenal. No, Arsenal are playing incredible football this year. It's been a sight to behold. It's been some of the best football we've seen up and down the league. But we don't have those players and the strength in depth to just continually play this high line Ange-ball, as we call it, where it's just hell for leather, go forward and attack. I don't think this is a problem, because I think with another transfer window or two, Ange might solidify his squad and get the players he wants in so that he can continually play this way. Because at the moment, it seems like, well, we can play this way for a handful of games, but then after that, someone figures us out, they put a low block in place, and we just can't do anything. But if Ange gets the recruitment he wants, and he gets the players he wants, and he can get them all into his philosophy, and we have a whole squad who know their jobs inside out, then I don't see why we can't be like the Cities and be like the Liverpools and just play our one way, but have the strength in depth that when someone needs to come off and we bring someone else on, it's just instant. And it's not like, oh God, we're going to lose our quality now. Excuse me. So yeah, very disappointing. I mean, all of the goals were pretty poor to let through. Vicario was our best player. Taking Son off so early on, people were saying, well, is that a statement? Well, Ange said that it wasn't a statement. It was just him doing what he thought he needed to do. But it almost, I got to the point where I kind of thought, well, if Son's coming off, let's just give up on scoring, because most of our goals come through Son in one way or another, whether he grabs the ball on the wing and sort of sticks it in and gives it back into the middle, makes a run and scores, or gives the assist himself. Son is that key operator. Now that we don't have Harry Kane anymore, Son is our key operator in finding out, in scoring goals and creating goals, and being that forward presence that the likes of Johnson and Werner and Maddison can look to, not only literally to get the ball, but mentally as well. There's our captain, and to take him off, I thought that was a bit unusual, especially with 15 days until our next game. It's not like he was resting him for a midweek game or something. So a bit unusual in that sense. I think a lot of the criticism that's come out of this is that Ange needs to have a plan B. And we've all lauded and been incredibly positive and had a laugh with him when he's been like, well, this is the way we are, mate. This is what we do. We play football like this. And it is great when we're going and we're winning. But when we're losing, it just seems to be hitting us hard. The 4-1 at Chelsea, the 4-0 here. The result at Fulham wasn't great either. So the question is, does Ange have the quality, knowledge, and experience to be able to look at himself and say, do you know what, this isn't the Scottish Premier League. I'm going to have to change things up at certain points. And then it becomes a case of, well, how do we change it up? What kind of football are we going to play when our backs are against the wall? And this is what Ange is paid to do. I'm really enjoying Ange Postecoglou as our manager. I really love him. I think he's great. Lots of fun. Great. I'm proud to have him as our manager now. You know, even if people don't like Spurs, which is most of the other teams, they all like Ange. I think we need to give him the time, and I'm talking multiple seasons, 5 years at least. I think so, 5 years, so he can get his main style established. He's done that year one. We know our style. Now between year one and year two, he needs to get the players he wants to further cement that style. Right. Well, I want to play this style, and I need these players to do it. Now I've got two players of every position for me to play my football the way I want. Then after that, years 2 into 3, I think you're looking at now, right, well, we need an alternative. And obviously, I'm not, he might work on this in the summer, but I'm saying the Tottenham's problem over the last few years has been mentality, and having that confidence to be able to take ourselves over the line when we're 1-0 up, we need to hold on to something. Our problem has always come then in not being a big club mentality, and not having the confidence and assertiveness in ourselves to play and go and get the win. And I feel like Ange has brought this back to us. We now feel we have an identity. We now feel we have a mindset, a way we play, a confidence going forward. But on days like today, we need a backup plan. We need a plan B, and this is what Ange Postecoglou has been brought in to establish and cement. He needs to understand that this isn't Celtic and this isn't the Scottish Premier League. There's not only one other club to compete with. Every team, up and down the whole thing, is fighting for something. Sheffield United on our last day of the season worries me more than Man City, Arsenal, and Liverpool, because who knows what the state of the bottom of the table is going to be like. And I don't think Sheffield are. I don't think they're safe. I don't think they will be safe. But I can't help but feel, it's they're like, oh, well, our last day in the Premier League, let's give it our all. And I'm worried about that game, to be honest. But we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But yeah, I think that's it, really. I don't think I need to say anything else. It's just that we have to give Ange the time. And there was one gentleman on Reddit who was just calling Ange all names under the sun, a fat this, a swear word that. And I'm just thinking, this isn't the right attitude. We've had this consistent run of managers that have just not worked out. We tried after Pochettino. We tried to get the experience in with Mourinho and Conte, and it didn't work. They are people that come into one club and win everything in a season or two, and then they go. We're not that sort of club. So I love that we found ourselves a manager who seems to be dedicated to a project, to building something, to developing something, and to being here for the long run. I think we need to celebrate that. I don't think we need to be ousting him because we've lost one game 4-0 in our first season, in which he's doing a really good job, actually. We have an identity about ourselves this season. I feel like the old Tottenham are back. And I really can't wait to see what the future holds for us. But I think we need Ange to have a plan B. He needs a plan B when this doesn't work. He needs a transfer window of what he wants to get in who he wants. And he needs our support, because I think there will be more days like this. I think the irony would be is that I can't remember the fixture list of who we've got left, but the irony would be we beat City 1-0 and then we go and lose 3-0 to Sheffield. There you go for the example, Sheffield. This will happen because we're still not an elite club yet. And you look at the Cities, you look at the Liverpools, you look at the Arsenals, they have taken years to get to where they are now in terms of buying in the right people, getting the right people in the club and establishing a club mentality. And we're not there yet. But I think with Ange, we could be. But he needs to do all those things I said. We need a plan B, give him a transfer window and have the fans back him. And we could be in the position where if Ange gets time, he can build the team the way he wants, and we could be a force to be reckoned with over the next couple of years. But all of this just off a 4-0 drubbing from Newcastle, which is still the main headline. And what that has done now is obviously dropped us into 5th, and it was quite embarrassing seeing that Aston Villa went up into 4th simply because we had so many goals put past us that we couldn't. took our goal difference down. So that was pretty embarrassing. However, I'm still hopeful that the fifth place of the UK, of the English Premier League, will go to the Champions League. It's, what did they say the odds were yesterday? Is it 58% or something? I think it's still 58% chance that that fifth place goes to a UK club. So I'm holding out hope for that, and I'm looking at Newcastle and Man United and thinking they're probably a bit too far away. But then there was a caller on Talksport this morning who said, well, you know what we're like. We could lose the next three games against Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool. And if Newcastle win them all, Newcastle are in for that shout as well. And we've done so well, I think, to establish our game, build this new kind of team whilst maintaining a top four spot. Before the season, I said top half finish. It's a transitional season. We've got Big Ange in. It's new. We're getting used to changes in the club, and I thought a top half finish would be fine. Now that I've seen us in fourth, I really wouldn't like to get out of the European spots. I think it'd be a shame if we lost that. But it is what it is, and I'm okay to forgive that this season. If we're fourth yesterday, at the start of Saturday rather, and we end up eighth, it'll be really disappointing, but I'll accept it because it's the first season, and we need to understand that Ange has only had 30 odd games to bring these players in, and whilst we look good when we get it right, it's still very disappointing when we don't. So yeah, I think I'll call it a day there for this little match reaction. So hit like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to stay up to date with my videos. I kind of do this. I do vinyl reviews, I do gaming, I do Lego building, I do MMA as well, the reviews of UFC 300. That should be up as well by now. So hit like, stay up to date, stay subscribed to stay up to date with my content, and hopefully I will see you very, very soon.